In the 31st week of the 2021 season, NASCAR saw something unprecedented. During the weekend at Talladega, fans were treated to 3 brand new winners in each of the series. Tate Fogleman would be able to win after a chaotic finish in the Truck Series, Bubba Wallace would win a rain-soaked event in the Cup Series, and Brandon Brown would collect a victory after the race lasted too long and darkness fell upon the racetrack. Tate Fogleman's win was impressive. Bubba Wallace's was historic. However, Brandon Brown's win went down as one of the most infamous wins in NASCAR history. How was that even possible? Brandon Brown winning was one of the most feel-good stories we saw in the 2021 season. Why would it become one that NASCAR wants everyone to forget? Well, thanks to an unfortunate timing, a side reporter mishearing the crowd, and a 3-word chant, we would see one of the most controversial moments in NASCAR history. This is the story of the Let's Go Brandon incident that happened at Talladega. Now, before we dive into that particular race that happened a year ago, let's provide a bit of background to the driver in this controversy, which is Brandon Brown. Brown was born in Woodbridge, Virginia, and had a knack for racing at a very young age. Brandon would race in go-karts as well as dirt racing and collect many victories as well as championships. He would then make the jump into the NASCAR Truck Series with his father's own team in 2014. He would run 3 races that season and would finish 25th, 19th, and 24th. He was not able to finish on the lead lap in any of those races, but he was able to do something that many small teams fail to do when they first start in the Truck Series, and that is taking care of the equipment throughout the entire race, thus being able to finish the race. Brandon and his team would expand their schedule in both the 2015 as well as the 2016 season. Although he was running a part-time schedule from 2014 to 2016, many teams and drivers saw the potential in Brandon Brown as he was able to have multiple top 20 finishes as well as a top 5 finish at Daytona with a low-budgeted team. Brown did not stay in the Truck Series for long and decided to make the jump into the Xfinity Series in 2016. He would make his debut at the Fall Richmond race with Brandon-built Motorsports once again. It wouldn't be long after this that the team would put all their focus on the Xfinity Series with Brandon Brown. A couple of part-time seasons went by before the team was ready to run full-time in the 2019 season. The team would have Brandon Brown as their primary driver, with a handful of other drivers making sporadic starts throughout the season. In their first full-time season, the team was able to finish in the top 20 more than 22 different times, with Brandon Brown scoring 21 of them. Not only that, but Brandon was able to score 1 top 10 finish in the summer race at Daytona, showing that he had an knack for the superspeedway races. The team immediately was proving that moving full-time was not a mistake and that they could compete with the big teams. The following year, the team would set a new benchmark by having Brandon Brown race his way into the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. With 6 top 10s and 26 top 20s, Brandon was able to finish 11th in the point standings. Not bad for a driver and team who were in their early stages of their Xfinity Series career. The team would go into the 2021 season with all the momentum in the world. The only thing that was holding them back was sponsorships. The beginning of the 2021 season was off to a great start, and Brown was able to score 4 finishes inside the top 12 in just 5 races. However, there was something that was starting to worry the team rather quickly, and that was the lack of sponsorships. The 2020 pandemic took its effects on a lot of companies who sponsored NASCAR teams, and Brandon Brown was one of them. Brandon was able to finish near the top half in most races, but unfortunately if the team would run out of funding, then they wouldn't be able to continue their Xfinity Series efforts. The team would get creative from time to time with their marketing, as well as finish near the front at the top racetracks such as Daytona and Charlotte. However, they knew that their best way to win over sponsorship would be to win a race. The team knew that they had some good races coming up for an opportunity to win, with their best being the superspeedway races. Now that the Xfinity Series was already in the playoffs, they had one last shot to make it into victory lane, and that would be at Talladega Superspeedway. For the 28th race of the 2021 season, the tension was at an all-time high as the Xfinity Series playoffs were fully underway. Many teams were trying to figure out how they were going to be able to advance on into the next round without being caught up in an incident at Talladega. Brandon Brown would be starting in the 19th position of this race with Larry's Hard Lemonade as their primary sponsor. The pressure was at an all-time high for Brandon-built Motorsports, and the only thing on Brandon Brown's mind was getting that number 68 car into victory lane. What would ensue in the next 2 hours would be pure mayhem. With about 12 laps to go, a multi-car incident took out a majority of the top contenders in the race, leaving the number 68 car sitting in the first place position with only a handful of laps to go. If Brandon Brown is able to collect this victory in this race, he will have to hold off the field of hungry playoff drivers right behind him. At this point, he needs a miracle.
Due to darkness, we're coming to a yellow and checkered flag. NASCAR has called the race. The 68 of Brandon Brown is going
too dark. Oh my God! Wow! Just wow!
This is based on the loops.
This is a dream come true. This is a dream come true. Oh my God! Thank you, Dad, so much. We did it, Dad. We did it. We did it. We won.
Then, as fate would have it, NASCAR would decide to call the race at lap 107 due to a lack of visibility on the racetrack. The race started super late in the day, forcing the event to be on a time crunch due to the racetrack not having lights installed around it. This meant that whoever was the leader at the moment they decided to call the race would be crowned the winner of the event. That would be the driver of the number 68 machine, of Brandon Brown. Finally, after the struggles of trying to make it in NASCAR's top 3 divisions, Brandon Brown was able to do the unthinkable and win an Xfinity Series race. The driver is emotional, the team is emotional, and everyone is seeing an amazing feel-good story happening in front of them. The camera closes in on the number 68 car, doing burnouts in front of all the Hyper Talladega fans in attendance. Now everyone waits in anticipation of what the new winner has to say about this huge victory for himself and the team. All he has to do now is have a memorable interview, and everyone will know who this young upcoming underdog is.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Larry's Lemonade. Thank you so much, Trade the Chain. Thank you so much, Jabs Construction. Thank you, Mid-Atlantic. Thank you to all of our partners. Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon. Brandon, you told me you were going to kind of hang back those first 2 stages and just watch and learn. What did you learn that helped you there in those closing laps?
Oh my God, it was learning how each line didn't stay to one. Everything shifted top to bottom so much that it was kind of like, okay, let's just stay patient where we're at and hope for the best. And
Within minutes, a feel-good story was immediately overshadowed by controversy as social media started to lose it about a chant that they just heard on TV. NASCAR zoomed in on the Talladega fans doing a 3-word chant. The 3-word chant was Joe Biden. Unfortunately, it got worse as Kelly Stavis, an NBC sports reporter interviewing Brandon Brown at the time, misheard the chant. Throughout the time Brandon Brown and the team knew that they won, they continued to scream Brandon's name as well as "Let's go!" giving Kelly the idea that the chant could have been "Let's go Brandon." She would then give recognition to the crowd and state, "You can hear the chant from the crowd, let's go Brandon." But of course, everyone knew that this was not what the fans were yelling. What would ensue would be a tremendous amount of backlash.
Let's go Brandon! Let's go Brandon!
Let's go Brandon.
Okay, all right.
Let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon.
Let's go Brandon, I agree. Hey, by the way,
Let's Go Brandon would take America by storm, which became a PR nightmare for NASCAR. NASCAR is already looked at as a far-right sport. However, this put it on another level. Every news media grabbed onto this, and every person who was hugely against the president used this as their new slogan. This would get so bad that not even a win from Bubba Wallace, the second ever African American to win a NASCAR Cup race, would stop the chatter about this incident. Many people wondered whose fault it really was for the incident. In the end though, the only one who got affected was the person who had nothing to do with it, the winner of the race himself, which was Brandon Brown. Brandon Brown would hardly receive any recognition from his win and would actually lose more sponsorship due to the victory, since corporations were too afraid to be tied to the driver who had his name used as a euphemism against Joe Biden. Brandon Brown would be forced to enter the 2022 season with little to no sponsorship. Brandonville Motorsports was now in pure desperation mode, just praying that a single sponsor would come to their aid and help them for the upcoming season. This would soon lead to another controversy that the team was not ready for. Near the end of 2021, Brandon Built Motorsports potentially found a blessing in disguise as a brand new cryptocurrency came in to help sponsor Brandon Brown for the season. The team announced a meme coin named LGB Coin, or Let's Go Brandon Coin, was going to be the primary sponsorship for the full 2022 season. Seemed like an amazing deal that happened for such an unfortunate event. The only problem was, NASCAR decided to not approve the sponsorship deal, which led to NASCAR refusing to let it happen, forcing the team to remove the sponsor. It would only get worse as the cryptocurrency would have a class action lawsuit for engaging in a pump and dump scheme. On top of that, original Larry's Hard Lemonade Brewing Company, who was the team's primary sponsor at Talladega, severed ties with the team as Larry's owner, Vic Reynolds, voiced his frustration with Brown focusing on a dubious sponsor rather than committing to those already backing him. Reynolds later clarified that he and Brandon Brown were still close friends, but felt betrayed by his actions, thus losing yet another sponsorship for Brown's 2022 efforts. As fate would have it, the win that the team was hunting for so many years would turn out to be the worst thing that could have happened. With it now being over a year since the incident, it seems like the Let's Go Brandon chant has not been forgotten by many. Today, a person doesn't have to look far to find a Let's Go Brandon sticker or flag flying around. Sadly, most people who use this chant never became a fan of Brandon Brown, nor even know who he is. The 2022 season has been rough as far as sponsorship goes. Sure, the driver has received some sponsorship from time to time, but it hasn't been enough to keep the driver in the car. As the second half of the season draws to a conclusion, more and more drivers have substituted Brandon Brown out of his father's built race team as a way to provide the team with sponsorship funding. Brandon has continued to show strong points throughout the year, especially at shorter racetracks and super speedways. However, he has not been able to make his way back into victory lane since last year's Talladega race. Hopefully he is able to find sponsorship soon so he can continue to live out his dream of being a professional race car driver. Sadly though, it looks like the controversy involving this chant has inevitably taken away his chance of letting that continue. I hope that one day Brandon Brown can get past all of this because I do see potential he has as a driver. But if he is not able to, then we may be left with this interview at Daytona as his last chance to make it in NASCAR.
It's absolutely a must-win if I was going to be in the playoff. But the must-win feeling is kind of, setting yourself up to show everybody, like, look, this kid's a driver. That's all he wants to do. That's all I've ever wanted to do is drive, race for wins. And, it's been a rough year, so just really wanted this one. Can't thank everybody enough at BMS, 68, Larry's Lemonade for the second chance.